It's a new month. It's a new show. It's a new Wise Guys. Welcome to our first of our weekly shows. As we announced last month, these will actually now start taking place on Thursday. We'll get into that here in just a second, but absolutely, we can't have a Wise Guy show without the other Wise Guy. Michael.
James.
Can we do this just with one person?
There is a plural on the guys thing. I don't know if that's possible.
And then again, I am a Gemini, so it's my multiple personalities.
I don't know which one I'm getting from week to week.
That is true. That is very true, and we will actually that'll come out as evident in the final segment of the show.
Oh yeah.
So, Michael, our first weekly episode.
Yeah. Honestly, long time coming. As we detailed, this was my wife's idea, who's actually not here tonight. So if you're watching, honey, hope you're having a good time down at your dad's. Bobby went to pool for the first time today.
Still doesn't count until you throw him in the ocean.
We're going on Tuesday.
I told her that.
We're going on Tuesday. You're not going to want to slug me now, are you?
Just like Bigfoot, photos or it doesn't exist.
Well, I'm not going to toss them in. Did you ever see Finding Nemo, the old Disney movie?
No.
Okay. We watched it every night before he goes to sleep. They call me Marlin because I am so overprotective of this kid. And Marlin's like, every time Nemo tries to do something, he's like, no. And yeah, that's exactly how I am. So tossing him in the ocean, not going to happen. Going in with him in my, believe it or not, New York Mets bathing suit, that's going to happen. And I know it shocks the hell out of you that I have a Mets bathing suit, right?
No, it's well, yeah. And for those of you wondering, Mike is not just wearing his Mets gear because of the aspect of it is the first week of the baseball season, which we will cover in one of the later segments tonight. And yes, we do have segments. We have timed out this show. But I have his caps.
James, we have a format. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to handle this. Alex might lose his mind.
Well, when Alex gets here, for Wise Guys Elites, the format's definitely going to take on a different shape. It might be a lot more off the rails as before.
Or not have a shape at all.
That is very, very true. But we're going to cover 6 different topics tonight. The first we're going to lead off with is we're almost a month into the new NFL season, Michael. Free agency trades have gone everywhere, and there's still a lot of big names out there that have not moved that we know are going to be by the time training camp opens here in a few short months.
Yeah, let's address the biggest elephant in the room with that, and let's talk about what the hell is taking the Jets and Packers so long. We know Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Jet. They need him out of the locker room. It's probably compensation. Mike Greenberg was on Pat McAfee, made a great point that the issue when Brett Favre was traded was the compensation. The trade had conditional draft picks. Like if the Jets would have won the Super Bowl that year, that would have been a first rounder that the Jets sent to Green Bay. So I think it's a matter of time before that happens. I think you're going to give Aaron Rodgers the best wide receivers he's had since his Super Bowl year. With a young stud in Garrett Wilson. Of course, Alan Lazard has signed with the Jets. The Jets did make the trade with the Browns to lessen their wide receiver room, but if they don't have to give up their first round pick this year for this, the Jets can add. And quite honestly, I think they're going to add one of Garrett Wilson's former teammates.
Very possible, and it's really more so of a matter. The thing that's going on with Aaron Rodgers right now is almost identical to the situation going on in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. And hear me out here.
Okay.
It's what I like to call the Shawshank predicament. It's time and pressure. It's how much time do you need to get this done, and how much pressure and leverage do you want to put on the organization to get it done?
The only thing I'll differ with, and I understand that, but the only thing I'll differ with you there is in this situation with Rodgers and the Jets, I think the Jets hold all the cards. Because the Packers know that Rodgers does not want to be there. He has already said publicly, again, on the Pat McAfee show with AJ Hawk, I want to play for the New York Jets next year. That's done. Lamar Jackson is a different animal. And I want to ask you a very serious question about that. What the hell is wrong with Baltimore's owner?
Yeah, it's because now they've actually, it came out in the last 24, 48 hours that Baltimore may explore the possibility of drafting a quarterback in the first round.
They offered Baker Mayfield a contract, James.
And we covered him last month, but yeah, he's still under contract, and yet he's still the number one name that's getting thrown around out there in free agency and trades and everything. And honestly, that's going to be the biggest domino that's still got to fall of anybody out there. More than Beckham, more than Rodgers, more than anyone, because here's a 27-year-old kid in his prime, even though he's coming off of 3 pretty decent, leg, knee injuries. Aaron Rodgers, yes, he's a 3-time MVP. He's got a Super Bowl, but he's 39 years old by the time the season starts. How many more years has he got in him? And regardless of where he plays, the Packers still have to pay him.
No, I agree. And like I said, I think the compensation is the whole thing with Rodgers that they're going through. Here's one I'm interested in that I find to be heartwarming, is that Bobby Wagner went back to Seattle.
Yes.
I think that's a great move for Seattle. It's a nostalgic move for Seattle. The fact that Geno Smith stayed is also very huge for them. Under the radar, another one, Jason Kelce staying in Philadelphia for another season is also pretty big for a team that really, we talked about it on the Wiseys, an eyelash from a Super Bowl, from a championship.
Right.
And their quarterback is there. So there's a lot more pieces to move, like you were saying. I'm interested in your take on something I heard today, that Cam Newton wants to be Deshaun Watson's backup. Excuse me. Superman wants to back up Bill Cosby on the North Shore.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because the Browns and also several other local media personalities have said that the Browns are very, very content with the idea of having Josh Dobbs as their backup.
The Browns are very, very content with the fact they're still going to end up over the salary cap.
Right. And that's the other reason why Cam's not going to come in here. They'd rather actually a guy like Dobbs, who was a very good quarterback. He's nowhere near the kid who tore his ACL. I can't think of his name right now at Tennessee. Hendon Hooker. He's nowhere near the caliber of athlete that Hendon Hooker was. Coming off, that injury, he'll still be a second, third round pick at the worst coming up later this month. And we got the live draft coming up later on this month too. Yeah. But Dobbs can run the same skill set as Watson, and also he's about the same age, and he's making a fraction of anything that Crab Legs would.
Crab Legs. You think he'd buy a shanty right next to Deshaun's?
Oh God, I didn't even think about that. Think of all the jokes we could make.
Oh, please, God, do it. I still say we make the shoes.
We still got time on that, though.
I know.
But we're trying not to go off the rails until the end, okay?
So, all right, let me write this down. Shoes less segments.
Making notes.
We're being professional this evening, James.
Thank you for your service.
Amen. Hey, it's this week. Of course, I'm going to throw an amen in there. So, let me ask you this one. Of all the guys that are still out there, leaving Lamar and Aaron aside now, which one would shock you with a landing spot the most? Would Odell going back to Cleveland, which I know Rizzo doesn't want to see happen, but unfortunately is in the air. Where do you see Odell landing, and what kind of impact can a twice-torn ACL Odell Beckham have on a team moving forward?
I don't see him coming back here. From a lot of things that I'm hearing is that they're kind of, even though he, there's that video that floated around of him, bro hugging Stefanski, in Florida last week. But it's damn allergies still. But it's something where I don't see him going back to Cleveland. I think that he burned a lot of bridges here with the regime that's here. I think he would command way too much money. They don't have the money to do it, even though they lost the kid Woods to that torn ACL the other day. But
Achilles.
Okay.
Achilles, yes. If I can interrupt real quick, Cavs 118, Orlando 94 has gone final.
Well, yeah, and the Cavs didn't actually play any of their starters, but we'll cover that here later because we got a talking point there.
Just wanted to get to the final score, my friend.
Right. And yeah, Orlando, probably there were a few teams in the NCAA tournament who could have probably given Orlando a run for their money. But anyway, I don't know if I've got an exact landing spot for Beckham, but I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere off the board. It's somebody who's going to be a contender, but not a Super Bowl contender. Maybe somebody like a Tennessee, maybe somewhere like a Detroit. Him and Jared Goff could be very interesting, especially on turf. I don't see him going back to. There's no way in hell he's going to the Rams because of some of even though we won a Super Bowl with them, Stafford's not going to be able to get the ball out fast enough coming off of that injury. I think San Francisco could be interesting. I think possibly the Raiders. I think he's going to go to a high-profile team, but not an elite team.
I think the Raiders are interesting, as you said. You know who else is interesting, believe it or not? The Colts.
It depends on what they do at quarterback. If they actually end up getting, a quality backup, because we know that they're going to draft one at they're going to draft one. What are they at? Are they still at 1 or are they at 4 or where are they?
Colts are at 4. Carolina's at 1. And if you watched any video from Pro Days, CJ Stroud almost looks like a lock to go number 1.
Yeah, very, very possible.
So, yeah, Odell's an interesting one. The other interesting one, I want to see who lands where. I want to see if Jarvis stays with New Orleans. I'd like him to mentor Chris Olave. And again, with me, I'm following the Buckeye players in the NFL. I'm done with a favorite team. And
last one real quick before we wrap up this segment. What do you think about the story that came out earlier today or very late yesterday about Tyreek possibly hanging him up in 2 years when that contract is up?
I hope somebody from Kansas City takes him out over the middle when they play against Miami this year. He needs to stop. Oh, I wish Cleveland would have paid me. Dude, you've never played in cold like that. It doesn't get cold like that in Kansas City. It gets cold, not like off the lake. You can't beat a cheetah and tear both hamstrings.
Yeah, could he also be leveraging Miami to be able to get maybe an extension on that?
I hope he hangs him up. I honestly do.
Because they've got their heir apparent down there in Jalen Waddle.
They need a quarterback.
Yeah, because Tua's one hit away from never playing again.
Tua's one hit away from a wheelchair.
Right.
And I'm not saying that to be funny.
Yeah.
That's scary. I mean, I have my issues with Tua from the overhype to the BS, but you don't ever want to see that.
We're going to shift gears here. We've got the whole off season. We've got the upcoming draft. We actually can cover this on upcoming shows if more dominoes start to fall. But we're gonna talk about something here that kind of flew under the radar in the sports world, although it did take over national media. No, I'm not talking about what's going on in New York right now, with a disgraced former politician, who we shall not name. Let me actually just say I could change the colors on these lights behind me, and it, Michael has his hand raised.
My new state, 38 criminal indictments are coming down.
It's only going to get better. It's only going to get. We might come back to this in the later on in the evening.
Oh, we're definitely coming back to this later on in the evening.
But getting back on topic here for a moment, there was something that Michael, I know, is not the biggest hockey fan, but it's definitely something that I kind of gravitated towards as the NHL is kind of getting into their final 2 weeks, and we've got a lot of teams who have already clinched playoff series. Boston's already clinched their best record in the history of their franchise. They still have a very outside chance to eclipse the all-time points record.
Really?
Standings, yeah, they are very close. I think they have to win out to get there. But we're seeing a lot of teams who have their Pride nights coming up later in the year, and a lot of those teams, I don't know if it's pressure, I don't know if it's fan backlash or whatever, opted out of wearing the Pride jerseys in warm-ups.
Here's my take on that, James, and I'll be very honest with you. I am of the opinion that this is horseshit from the NHL teams. Not that they're doing it, obviously. That's not what I'm saying. That these players are having this issue with it. Because, number one, they're still your fans. You don't know what percentage of your fans are actually members of that community. Why would you want to piss off your fans? Especially for teams that are trying to make runs, trying to bring in more fans so they can have salary cap room to sign bigger free agents. Why would you do that?
Well, interesting you should mention that, because we're going to play a clip here. This was from Nashville Predators forward Tyson Barrie, who was interviewed about this very aspect, that because Nashville originally was not going to, and then opted to wear them, actually. And with these Pride jerseys, yes, it does have the rainbow colors, but some of them, they just do the logo. Some of them just kind of interlope it with the numbers. We're not talking all over rainbow flags. Yeah. So a lot of the times it's very subtle. But let me load up Tyson Barrie's comments here. It's about a 1.5-minute clip. And I will try and actually attribute this after the show here.
Okay.
I think it's an awesome initiative. It's something that really close to my heart. I've got family members and best friends in the community, and I think there's a little bit of frustration on my end with kind of what's transpired this year with everything, and I think I know how hard it can be for people to come out and live their authentic lives, and I hope that none of the stuff that's gone on has pushed anybody back, any young kids who are thinking about it. So just really really excited that everybody in our teams participate.
Thank you for that answer. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Jason, maybe following up on that, what about even in the last week around here, some of the, I guess, rhetoric that has followed that tragedy as it relates to the community?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was something that you never anticipate or see, and it's just an absolute tragedy. And I think with kind of the trans being linked to it, it's I don't think you can take the actions of one person, a whole group of people. So I think it's great that everyone's participating.
Kudos to Tyson Berry. There's not a way to nail those comments anymore. Talk about somebody who gets it.
Agreed. And you don't hear that much from the NHL, to be very brutally honest with you.
Especially in Nashville, is because we're talking deep south there.
Yeah. I'm actually very happy that was his stance on that. I'm very happy that he said that you can't paint it with the broad brush,
right?
Like he did, and that's very true. For this tragedy that happened was not about people who identify that way, people who have decided to make that change. That was one person.
Right.
So when it's not somebody like that does those things, we say, oh, well, that's the one person that did that. You have to cover it the same way.
Exactly. Because, I was watching some political podcast or YouTube video or something like that. And they brought up the point is that of all the shootings that you've actually seen in this country in the last year, what, 2, maybe 3 of them were trans individuals, and all the rest of them were right-wing supremacists.
It's very true.
With AR-15s. Yeah,
no, you're absolutely right. And here's the thing, and this is my personal opinion on this, and say what you will about it. Leave the sports world out of it. This is our escape. This is our chance to forget about those things. So having a Pride night, I mean, Citi Field has Pride night. They have Puerto Rican heritage. They have, every single Pride night you can have: Irish, Greek, Italian, the whole 9.
It's
all inclusive.
Think of this. It's that the NBA and the NHL do a Black History Month all February, and then what? Usually March is Hispanic History Month,
something like that.
Or Women's History Month or something like that.
And Women's is in March. The Hispanic thing is more baseball because it's actually during baseball season,
right?
Which also has the highest population of Hispanic players,
right?
But stop. There's a lot of media who are trying to politicize our escape from the crap,
right?
And it needs to stop. I mean, it needs to stop. You and I are far from media. Well, maybe not that far. But you know what I mean. I mean, this isn't something we would cover if it didn't come out of a guy from the NHL's mouth.
It's just the fact that we're still talking about this in 2023.
Oh, that's the big one.
And the rhetoric that's all drummed up. And let's be honest, it's all drummed up in the last 7 years, and we know why.
We do. But let's not talk about that till the off the rails segment, because we can get one.
Yep.
So, James, do you know what else happened in the last week or so? Besides the pollen count?
Yeah, there was stuff that took over the news. Oh, wait, you're talking about stuff that we're actually trying to keep out and actually lead to our escape. It's not the XFL playoffs. It's not. Michael, please refresh my memory.
It is baseball season. In the immortal words of Dennis Quaid as Jim Morris, do you know what we get to do tomorrow? We get to play baseball. It's my time of year, James.
If you think about it, Michael, It is the last 2 weeks are the best 14-day period in the entire sports calendar. The final week of the NBA regular season, the final week of the NHL regular season. Baseball starts up, and oh yeah, Augusta.
Oh, dude, I'm 3 hours away. My brother-in-law lives outside of Augusta. I told him if he doesn't come down and visit, I get a practice round next year.
Nice.
So let's talk about the first week. Let's talk about how my boys took a bath in Milwaukee. Bro, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it loud. The Brewers are legit. That lineup is nasty. Nasty.
Like Janet Nasty.
Like Miss Jackson, if you're nasty.
Nasty.
On top of that, I have to give a shout out to the Cleveland Guardians. Did you see what they're doing tomorrow? And I'm getting choked up. My dad told me tonight.
Yeah, the home opener, John Adams.
They're wearing a patch on the uniform with sticks and a drum. They're going to have the drum and the sticks up in the bleachers where he sat for 40-some years.
And they're piping the sound in.
Baseball's an emotional game for me because it is what's in my blood.
Did you see real quick who's throwing out the first pitch tomorrow at Progressive Field?
No, I didn't.
Heights High.
Which one? Both or?
No.
Oh, mama.
Travis and his mama.
Nice. Well, Jason's got the new baby.
Right.
So he couldn't come. Heights High.
Considering we're two brush kids, we hear those two words and we want to punch somebody.
Or we don't want to go to a basketball game.
And punt.
Exactly. So I want to talk about a couple other things. I was flipping through TikTok today on my lunch break, and I guess Will Clark was screaming about the Giants' schedule, how they opened against the Yankees on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Will, crawl out from under your duck blind and realize it is now you play everybody. Who gives a shit?
Exactly.
Guardians. Michael Conforto hit a home run for the Giants.
Who, honestly, with the way that they pounded Alex's White Sox today, who didn't hit a home run at this point? Yeah, but you were 1,800 miles away.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, the pitch clock's working.
Yes, it already cost several games this for teams.
It cost a couple. Did you see Ohtani got one as a hitter and a pitcher?
Yeah, I did see that. It cost the Guardians their opener, and then they actually rattled off 4 straight wins, and all of them were come from behind.
Look. Speaking of the Guardians, the Terry Francona biopic is going to be on MLB Network, I think, this week.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. My Mets are my Mets. They get to opening day. They're all excited. They have the best record, best winning percentage in baseball history on opening day, and Verlander's on the IL.
And then what? You lost your catcher yesterday?
Yeah, but that Alvarez kid is coming up. And Narvaez was playing well. Pete Alonso stopped his Ron Jeremy impersonation, shaved his mustache, and hit 2 dingers yesterday.
We can't get off the topic that we're trying to avoid, can we?
Which one is that?
You mentioned Ron Jeremy, so we have to segue into like somebody in his field. Save it for the end, Michael.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. And this is what blew my mind about the Mets this week. They faced Sandy Alcantara, the reigning Cy Young Award winner in the National League, on opening day. They faced Corbin Burns yesterday. They scored 10 runs off of Sandy Alcantara and Corbin Burns and haven't done shit against anybody else.
Right.
dude, what are you doing?
I mean, talk about completely upside down. The Rays are undefeated. The Red Sox are under 500. The Gardos jumped out. No surprise that Kansas City can't win a game to save their life. The Mariners are 2-5. The Astros are under 500. The Phillies are 1-5.
Yeah, but the Phillies, they have been decimated.
Right.
You lose Bryce Harper. You knew they weren't going to have Bryce Harper till at least June. And even then, he's only going to be able to DH for a while. And then you lose Rhys Hoskins to a torn ACL. Look, Trey Turner's good. Schwarber's streaky. Castellanos is borderline unreliable at best at times. That's bad. And the guy who was closing for them last year, who I thought was so unreliable, is now in the Met bullpen.
Better story for you between these two: Pittsburgh jumping out to 4-2, or the Cardinals falling off as we all expected, starting out 2-4 after losing their three, basically having two Hall of Famers retire and having to fill that spot.
I think Pittsburgh is a great story.
Baseball is better when Pittsburgh's good.
I agree, and I don't think they can sustain it. I don't believe they have the pitching to do that. O'Neal Cruz is just fun to watch. But they're a better story if they can get out ahead. If they can start making a lot of progress and be a playoff team in a couple of years.
Yeah,
that'll be fun to watch.
As much as I hate that city because of where I'm located, one of these days I'm going to actually just say the hell with it and make the 90-minute drive and catch a game at PNC.
My mom and dad went in 2006. The Mets were primed to clinch the National League East, and they went on the Sunday of a 3-game series. The Mets got swept that weekend by the Pirates. The next night, of course, they come back to New York and they win the division, but my dad said it was probably the best ballpark he's ever been to. And he said that even after going to Citi Field in 2018.
Yeah, just how nice the park looks, that even, they still fill that park on a fairly regular basis for a team that can't win a damn thing. And it actually shows the part of the city that's not atrocious to look at.
Agreed. Speaking of something cute, we were talking about not atrocious, look at something cute. So the Mets have a sponsorship agreement with New York Presbyterian Hospital. They get a big patch, a little gaudy for my taste, on there. But every baby born, as part of the thing, every baby born at New York Press will get a Mets blanket.
Nice. What do you think? Speaking of which, we know the sponsorship patches are, they're there. As long as they don't actually, interfere with the players and take over everything. I think the Major League debut patch is a very, very cool touch. I just wish it would be a little bit larger because you can't really see it.
I agree to a point, and here's why. Yes, you want to make a big deal out of a guy's Major League debut. You don't want to take away from the entire rest of the roster, unless you're the Guardians, in which last year everybody made their debut.
Right.
By the way, Josh Bell starts to hit. Forget it. That division's over in a hurry.
I mean, they're already in first place, and Minnesota's coming up, but they're not going to be there. So it's So what? Are we talking like Memorial Day or 4th of July where they're already in the driver's seat and basically just putting it on cruise control at this point?
They will be putting it in cruise control by August 1st. Because I think Antonetti's going to pull a move on not Antonetti. Is he still a GM, that schmuck?
I think it's Antonetti.
Well, they don't spend money, so it doesn't matter. I think
they've got $200 million contracts on their payroll after signing Jimenez.
You're welcome. Can we call that trade a win-win now?
Lindor wins a playoff series. We might. He actually shows up after Labor Day. We'll talk.
Okay. No, that's fair. I mean, I'll take 270, 30, and 100 every year. And he should have won the damn Gold Glove last year.
Yeah, that's debatable, but I mean, it's an argument worth having.
And eventually we will have that because I'm sure you and I will go back and forth about that trade.
Right.
I honestly call it a win-win. Jimenez has been phenomenal. Obviously, if they're handing him that kind of money. Rosario has been serviceable, playing multiple positions. Who else did they get in that deal? They got a couple of minor leaguers who aren't there yet, but those two guys really made this deal. And then you have I'm a little worried about Cookie, to be honest with you. The velocity drop was significant the other night.
But I think, no offense to him, Cookie at that point was kind of a little bit of a throw-in because you knew his best years were in Cleveland and those were kind of behind him. So any kind of moderate to above average production that you were going to get out of him was going to be a win on that end of the coin.
Wait, we got 15 wins out of him last year.
Right.
So I'll take it. What else happened this week? Did you see the ball Stanton hit the other day?
Has it landed yet?
I don't know. I'm waiting for it to come here.
What's going to land first? The ball that he hit, or the field goal that the Buckeyes shanked?
Dude, you're a dick. Do you know I had an actual University of Georgia fan look me in the face and go, "That was targeting." Shut up. We have to talk about our other plan in the off the rail segment. Speaking of college football.
Yeah, we will.
Last baseball thing I want to get to you. If you're the Mets, now I'm asking this. I know they're your favorite team, like mine. Are you calling up the kids at this point at 3 and 4 to start to try and spark this team? I mean, people are screaming they didn't improve the team. Well, how exactly do you improve a 101 win team?
Well, look at what Ollie Marmol did with O'Neal.
First things first, he should have never been sent. I don't care. He should have never been sent.
Still, sometimes you need to light that fire under your team. And yeah, it's 3 and 4, but I mean, your realistic only competition in that division are going to be the Braves, who are already 5 and 1. But you don't want to let them get out there. You don't want to let them get out in front that far that early.
No. Well, so listen, the Braves.
It's within the first. If it's within the first month of the year, absolutely let them go nuts.
Yeah. No, I agree. Beatty, of course, has the thumb thing going on right now, but Alvarez will be up after the injury to Narvaez. Tomorrow's the home opener. I fully anticipate Francisco Alvarez being behind the plate to catch Tyler McGill tomorrow. In a lineup with Pete Alonso, who hit 2 bombs against Milwaukee. Dude, the first one he hit was off his shoe tops to right center.
4.
On the line at least 400 feet. And then he golfed the next one to left center. Both of them off of Corbin Burns.
I was going to say, who got better arc and better spin on it, him or John Rahm?
Oh, my God.
We might talk a little Masters or golf in the final segment.
Yeah, we're going to, because it's Masters week. Right.
But we're going to shift gears. We're going to get off of the diamond. We're going to get to the hardwood here for a little bit. We're seeing the final week of the NBA regular season. A lot of our playoff matchups are starting to take form. We just came off the greatest college basketball tournament we've ever seen. Congratulations to UConn winning their 5th national championship.
And the women's tournament was even better.
Yes, that Caitlin Clark.
She's a dog.
If the
NBA,
I
don't mean like we used to call.
Yeah,
she's a DAGG dog.
we might talk about that next week because the controversy involving her in the national championship game is still evolving.
It's a joke.
We might bring that up next week. But there's somebody who is probably going to be in the NCAA tournament in terms of one of the players next year who's getting a lot of rub. And Mike, would you actually like to take this?
Are we really to the point where LeBron's son's going to college? Like, I remember seeing Bronny as a baby on the sidelines. First of all, he's going to be really good. The coaching he has received, obviously, from a guy who leads the NBA in points all the time, has been really good. Apparently, Bryce handles the ball better, which is scary to think about. Has he decided yet?
I don't think he has, but I mean, we also talked about where his what some of the ideas could be, where he could go. I think it's behoove him. Yeah, he looks like he is going to be a good one, but I think it's in his best interest not to jump right away because I don't think he's ready. But
well, he can't because the one and done rule hasn't been taken out yet.
Exactly. But the opportunity to play under Coach Izzo, it's eluding me at the moment. John Shire for a year, who got Duke that close in his first year with which Coach K's players, and I think John Shire is going to do a fantastic job at Duke in the next few years. I can't see him, going to like a North Carolina because they're not what they were.
Well, remember his final three were Oregon, USC, and Ohio State.
And I don't see him going to Ohio State because they're right now. Chris Thibodeau, that program is a mess. Holman.
Yeah, but he's a joke. Come on, Thad Mott has got to come back at some point in time.
He'd almost be better off going to play. If he's going to go to an Ohio team, he'd be better off going to play with Sean Murray at Xavier.
Probably.
Because even though Miller's got all kinds of controversy behind him, he's got a couple of Final Fours.
Be a real dog, go to Akron. Could you imagine?
I'm trying to remember who the coach is at Akron because I know this.
Who is that Akron? Could you see Bronny being a zip, though? I think it's going to be USC. I think you're right from the last show we did when we talked about this. I think it's going to be USC. He's going to stay on the coast by the family.
Well, honestly, if you had the opportunity, he might actually be better off going to UCLA and playing under Mick Cronin. Consider. Well, here's the thing: Johnny Juzang just declared for the draft,
so he'd start right away,
and he could start right away.
Yeah, but you know what the thing about UCLA is, though, a lot of shine from the Wooden years is off.
UCLA's a damn good program. I'm a big UCLA fan.
They're still a good program.
I'm not saying that as a homer. Had they not slipped up, because they had 3 starters out for the tournament with injury. Had they not slipped up, I think they actually would be the ones getting the parade instead of up in Stores, Connecticut next week. I don't know who would have beat UCLA with the role that they were on.
That's true. Remember, Bronny wears number 0. Like a certain guy who used to play for his dad's team in the NBA who went to UCLA. And correct. You wore 42 at UCLA.
Correct. Now you got me wondering, is UCLA retired numbers?
Well, K-Love wore 42 at UCLA.
The
He
only he could
Kareem.
wear it. Don Barksdale, Gail Goodridge, Ed O'Bannon, Reggie Miller, Bill Walton, Kareem, Sidney Wicks, Walt Hazard, Jamal Wilkes, Marquez Johnson. The only numbers retired.
Did they retire Kareem's as Lou Alcindor or as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
It's as Alcindor.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, he could wear Caleb's 42, or he could wear 0 that he's wearing now. At
he couldn't wear 42 because that was Walt Hazard. But I mean, he could wear 0. He could wear 24. He could flip it around if he wanted to.
Or 6.
He could wear his dad's 23. He could wear 30. Well, he couldn't wear 32 because that's Big Bad Bill. Now the funny thing is all I'm thinking about when about Bill Walton is Frank Caliendo doing that.
That's exactly why I started laughing.
It was unbelievable. I could smell colors.
Yeah. UCLA be a good school. I honestly think he's going to do the USC thing. You're talking about an up-and-coming school. You're talking about, they're both Big Ten bound in a couple of years.
Right.
Well, next year. But I think USC is going to end up where he lands. And look, if he progresses the way he has, he's going to be a lottery pick. He's not going to Cleveland. We'll get into that next.
Right.
He could end up on the Lakers. Because they're terrible.
Well, speaking of why they're terrible,
Don't put that on his old man.
They're basically out of the playoffs, but we basically got quite a few playoff matchups set.
Yes, we do. Including, and I can't believe, without that name on the roster, we are saying it, the 51-win 4-seed Cleveland Cavaliers.
Who and here's what sucks is that I think another couple of games they could have caught Philly because they're only a game and a half behind. How hilarious is it going to be with the season finale on Saturday or Sunday, that they could end up a half game behind Philly for that 3 spot?
That would suck. Because they have a win. Well, they finished even with Milwaukee, even with Philly, and 3-1 against Boston.
Right.
The 3 teams are chasing. And Paul Pierce, did you see Paul Pierce and Garnett the other day? Paul Pierce said, Cleveland's not in their level. They beat them 3 out of 4. Shut up, you piece of garbage. I can't stand him.
I think it's more amazing right now, the Cavs getting 51 with this, that the Nets still are going to possibly cling on to not going into the playoff after basically, emptying the ship.
Tells you a lot about KD and Kyrie, doesn't it? Oh, and look who was right about the Mavericks.
Yeah. They went from 3rd to now they're on the outside looking in. As it stands right now, they are mathematically tied, but Oklahoma City's got the tiebreaker. Dallas would be sitting home right now.
Mark Cuban has got to be ready to take his GM and choke him out.
I mean, the Lakers are the Lakers are right now on the cusp. They've been playing better ball without LeBron as of late, and they have a chance to get into the top 6. Here's the irony of all that. If they did, you know who they bump out and bump into the play-in tournament?
The Clippers?
The Warriors.
Nice.
The Warriors are 10.5 out in the West. The Lakers are 11.5 out, tied with the Pelicans. They have identical 41-39 records. The Warriors are 42-38 and both teams have 2 games left. I want to say each one of those has a game tonight. But the Lakers could end up getting the 6th seed, and then would play Sacramento, which we're still shaking our heads over.
And you said earlier in the year, is that Ty Lue's team? No, he's got the Clippers.
Right.
Let's see. Tonight, see all NBA.
Denver, Phoenix, Oklahoma City's playing now.
Yep, Cavs are done.
Yeah, there's only 5 on the slate tonight.
Hold on, Philly lost.
Yeah, Miami cleaned their clock, but the Cavs aren't going to be able to catch them. They've only got one game left.
The Cavs only have 1 game left?
Yeah. And Philly's got 2.
Yeah, but if Philly loses and they end up in a tie,
Philly would still own the tiebreaker, though.
that sucks.
Yeah. But it's the fact that and the Cavs beat the living snot out of Orlando tonight. Now, granted, Orlando is not a very good team. They've been eliminated for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
But the Cavs rested all 5 of their starters. Like Chetty was in their starting lineup tonight. Dean Wade was in their starting lineup tonight. Karis LeVert was dressed, but I don't even think he played.
Oh, wow. Sorry, I got an itch on my foot.
That's the worst.
Yeah, well, that's why the pen's there. Oh, hold on. I need a new camera.
Operator error.
Well, it is, but the thing is the USB connection isn't that great. I want to get one that has the same connection as the microphone that you grabbed me.
I'm looking into that. Give me a couple of weeks. Give me a month or so on that.
I got it.
Well, the one I'm looking at, I think we have it at work, and I actually want to see how it works with this.
You're gonna steal it?
No, but I actually might, because the one that is at work has a USB-A connection, not the USB-C like we have on our Chromebooks. So, and I don't want to use an adapter, so I want to see if they make it with that connection.
Gotcha.
Because I've recorded my last few sports notes with that, and they've actually come out phenomenal. The problem is that, because of how good the picture quality is, the file size is a monster.
Yeah.
It takes me probably twice as long as before just to edit.
Really?
Yeah, because we're talking like 2 gigabyte just for the files, just for the video. That's not including the graphics.
See, even when I was doing just the audio way back, because August it's 5 years.
Yeah,
I started doing this. I never edit. It's go, and it's done like that. So I don't feel your pain on that end, sir.
Smart ass. But Milwaukee clinching number 1 overall. That had to be expected. Denver falling off. The winner, your champion's going to come out of the East.
I think so too.
I don't see anyone in the West strong enough.
Now, here's a question. Why the hell is Donovan Mitchell not getting MVP talk?
There's people that are going to I don't think he's going to get MVP talk, but he's getting a lot of run lately for first team all NBA. And let's be honest, I'd rather him get that than the MVP.
Well, he set the record for most 40-point games in a season in Cavs history this year. That's Here's the other thing. Name the NBA players who have 3 or more consecutive 40-point games this season. Donovan Mitchell, and the last one to do it was James Harden in the 2018-2019 season.
And Donovan Mitchell has 4 in a row. The list starts and ends there.
With Donovan Mitchell. I love the way him and Garland have shaped up as the season goes. In a quick pick in their first-round playoff series against the New York Knicks, that's going to come down to home court, and the Cavaliers have it.
Right.
The Knicks are tough. The Knicks are tough.
I saw them last year. It was the first Cavs game that I've been to in 10 years where they lost because Julius Randle just flat out went off that night. But the Knicks have a hell of a ball club, and there's still part of me at times that wishes that Obi Toppin would have come here.
Yeah,
but I'm more than content with with Garland and some of the other kids that came with it.
I love how Evan Mobley has gotten better as the years gone on. And Okoro has actually stepped up from a guy who people thought they should trade to a guy that now they need him off the bench.
But they're going to have a decision that they have to make with him next year.
No, because of the new rule that was brought in with adding the extra Supermax player. They don't need to make that decision because they can bring in a Supermax player and still re-sign their guys. Because I keep kicking the damn table.
The core is there. Apparently they came to an agreement on the new CBA.
That's what I'm talking about. They added the extra Supermax player to a team. Excuse me. They don't have to do just two. So now Garland, Mitchell, and they can add a third. So you figure if they're going to keep the core together, Mobley's that next Supermax guy.
Yeah, would you do Mobley or would you do Jarrett though? You got to make a call with one of them.
See which one takes a team-friendly deal.
Yeah, who gives the hometown discount?
I think Mobley does because his brother's there.
That's a hell of a point.
His brother's in Canton. His brother will be with the Cavaliers next season.
Well, Cleveland, because Canton moved to Cleveland. They're playing over at Wolstein now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they couldn't come to an agreement with the Civic Center, so now they're playing them over at Wolstein.
Oh, nice. So, James, coming off the hardwood, I think we need to discuss something that happened in the squared circle this week.
Yeah, we had the granddaddy of them all. We had WrestleMania 39 this weekend. Mike certainly didn't catch the show. I dropped the $5 and change for Peacock and did.
I did catch, however, who The Miz was in a match with.
Yeah, because I sent it to you, you dipshit.
No, I saw it before that.
But everyone's shitting all over the ending, and it was one of the worst Raw after WrestleManias anyone's ever said.
I heard that.
It was like all the message boards or whatever I was reading were saying it was terrible. Nobody scored it above a 6, and that was being generous. Most people were scoring it 2, 3, 4, and yet AEW had a phenomenal show on Wednesday night. AEW, their Labor Day pay-per-view, get this, their first time across the pond, they're doing their pay-per-view in Wembley Stadium.
Stop it. Well, I mean, how could you think that WWE would have a good night after Raw when Dick Dastardly was running the show again?
Exactly. For those of you who don't know, Vince McMahon is back in control. Why is he back in control? Earlier this week, the WWE was sold to Endeavor, who also owns the UFC. It's a $21.2 billion company now, and WWE was valued, I want to say, at like $9 billion in this deal. Vince McMahon will be still essentially the CEO of the company for 2 years. Here's the catch, though, that he's now an employee, not the owner. So if they get too many more shows, like how Monday was, where it was an absolute train wreck. I watched the first hour and then fell asleep on the couch, and then I woke up and I saw people shitting all over the entire show with the way that you could tell just by watching WrestleMania. Night 1, Saturday night, was phenomenal. It was better on its own than certain WrestleManias on the whole. Night 2 was a train wreck.
But here's my question. As far as that goes, why the fuck are they doing 2 nights?
It originally started during the pandemic when they had to, when everything got shut down, they had to postpone, like everything closed up. So WrestleMania was supposed to be in Tampa that night, and they closed everything down, and they ended up holding WrestleMania like quote unquote, like they pre-taped all the matches and did it at the WWE Performance Center,
The
but then
Thunderdome.
spread it out over 2 nights, and it just kind of rolled from there. So it's a good idea because you can actually now do a 15 match card and split it up over 2 nights and then do 3 hours each night. So it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But now that you expanded to 2 days, it's a better format because you don't have to compress 5-minute matches.
No, that I agree with. Why does Seth Rollins still have the belts? Not Seth Rollins, I'm sorry.
Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns. Oh,
They want to get him to 1,000 days as champion.
he's not fucking Goldberg.
It's, the problem is that, and I understand it's all predetermined. We all know that. But the fact is, Cody Rhodes' stock has never been higher than it was, winning the belt that his dad never could. God rest your soul, Dusty. Getting busy with it. But everything was there. And now, if you're going to keep the belt on Roman Reigns just to be able to get him past 1,000 days as champion for more marketing and then hotshot the belt over to Cody and then build this thing out 6 more months. SummerSlam is in Detroit at Ford Field, but I brought this up with my best friend Adam when we were talking about it after this because it was like everyone had the look of shock on their face, like when Brock Lesnar broke the Undertaker's streak a few years ago.
Yep.
Cody winning the belt at the granddaddy of them all at the main event of night 2 of your biggest show of the year in front of 80,000 in LA, or Cody winning the belt at the end of one night in Detroit in front of 80,000. Again, in Detroit. Which one would you want to cash in on more?
I'm not Vince McMahon, so I would say I would want to cash in on the LA one.
Exactly.
By the way, also big up to Snoop Dogg
for saving that segment. Anyone who didn't see, Shane McMahon showed up after a couple of years off, tears his quadricep within the first 30 seconds, and Snoop saves the segment.
Triple H had some great words for Snoop after that, too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw that.
Did you hear or see the entrances at all?
I saw McAfee's.
Did you hear about what Rey Mysterio did?
I saw him whip his son with a belt.
Yeah, Rey was fighting his son Dominic, who Dominic is like, turned on his father about 6 months ago, a year ago, whatever it was. And Dom in the storyline got sent to prison for a night and now actually came out out of the prison van, handcuffs and everything, wearing one of his dad's old masks. Rey comes out basically in Iron Man garb or something of that nature. It might have been Iron Man. It was styled that way. But he comes out with Snoop in Eddie's lowrider.
Nice.
And originally it starts off as Viva La Raza before he actually goes up on the stage and then comes out to POD.
That's phenomenal.
Adam and I were just like, that might be the greatest entrance we've ever seen. Because Rey got inducted into the Hall of Fame this weekend.
Oh, good for Rey.
As did Andy Kaufman.
Please tell me that the King inducted Andy Kaufman.
Yes, he gave it. Yeah, he introduced him at the Hall of Fame. Stacy Keibler.
Stop.
I need a moment. Who still looks phenomenal after all these years. And also one of my all-time personal favorites, Keiji Muto, who you guys know as the Great Muta.
Nice.
Inducted by Ric Flair.
Nice.
I don't know if I agree with Flair. I think there might have been better options with that. Maybe Sting, but then again, Sting's working in TNA because Sting and Muta had one of the greatest rivalries of the 1980s.
Yes, and that's when I first found Sting, was the spiky yellow hair, massive pain.
Surfer Sting, yep.
Yeah, Surfer Sting, and then Pro Sting is still.
Right. Well, we're into our overtime now. It's again, we're going to work out a couple of the kinks here, but this is what we're going to like to call. We could call this the meat potatoes. I personally am leaning towards the slaughterhouse because now everything is on the table. And to quote the band Motionless in White with their song, The Slaughterhouse, we want our pound of flesh and we slice thick.
Yeah, so let's start with our project to embarrass more than we ever could. Certain sports personality from the city of Cleveland. Dude, we need to get these damn shoes made.
It's just all a matter of finding somebody who's got the artistic chops to do it, because I don't know if who we think of would be able to do it. Number one, I don't know if he'd want to put his name on it. Number two, he just picked up another podcast, so his time is spread even more thin.
What's your brother doing?
Building guitars and working.
What's Adam doing?
Oh, my brother put up a tweet earlier. I got to find this. I will not show it on here out of respect to his privacy. But I gotta find it. I saw it and I couldn't stop fucking laughing.
No, I got one for you to make you laugh harder.
Where'd it go? Don't tell me he got rid of it. Nope. Jack Link's beef jerky has Doritos spicy chili jerky. He says, to expedite the process of shitting my pants, I will dump these directly into the toilet.
You ready for this one? So you see the Bud Light thing going on, right?
Yes.
Kid Rock plays to an audience. I can tell you how much Sudafed they can get for a catalytic converter.
My St. Louis fandom aside, good on them. People say it's shitty beer. It's some of the best. I actually like it because it's smooth and I can drink 2 or 3 of them before I start feeling buzzed. I can't do that with too many other beers.
Do they realize they all do Pride stuff?
Did you see the thing with Coors?
Yes.
Did you see the meme that came out? It's we're boycotting Bud Light and going to Coors because they don't do Pride shit. Coors says, fuck you.
My other favorite one is, why are you so mad about someone who is one thing masquerading as someone else? Bud Light is water masquerading as beer.
Watch it, because if I do end up going there, that's going to be one of the things on my list. Now that I found out it's a 4-day trip, 4 days, 3 nights, I could get the Anheuser-Busch Chewer in there.
So let's talk about the offshoot of that trip and what is in the works for Halloween for the Wise Guys. And that is our first ever on location live show. Why is it the end of October, do you ask? I will tell you. Brunswick, Georgia, where I have moved to. Oh, dude, you're going to get me in a fight. Brunswick, Georgia is exactly 1 hour and some odd minutes north of Jacksonville, Florida. Who cares? Jim and I do. Because on October 28th, as long as the stars align, and I'm really sure they're going to, Jim and I will do the first ever joint Wise Guy show on location in Jacksonville, Florida. So what's the big deal? The show will be from the largest cocktail party in the world. That's right.
The world's largest.
The world's largest cocktail party. That's right. The tailgate before the University of Florida plays the University of Georgia.
And the reason why we are not doing the game if this happens is because
it's too expensive.
First, well, that's the first thing. Is that the secondly is I don't want to see my Gators get slaughtered by 45 points and be out a couple $100 doing it.
Right? So that's the plan as of now. Is that it will be the first time you and I see each other in person in how long?
God, when did we graduate?
23 years.
I graduated in 2000.
And
Yeah,
that's when I
23
left,
years.
23 years. And hopefully we have a third stooge with us. No.
Woo!
That's me. I'm currently in negotiations for that.
Who are you, Lamar's agent?
I said stooge, not schmuck.
Speaking of
Oh,
schmucks,
here we go.
what was your favorite meme to come out of the last maybe 3 or 4 days in the mainstream news? Dealing with the guy who could be camouflage for the scripting on your hat.
You mean the guy who's going to clash with his wardrobe very soon?
Yeah, did you see the tweet that I put out about that? Oh yeah, that's right, you liked it.
I did. I hope they get them all. Get them all. Clean sweep. Oh, on a side note, on a happier one, speaking of the team I'm wearing on my head, so I have the show 23. I pulled the captain's pack. First one, David Wright. Do you understand the joy that was brought to my heart when that happened? So the left side of my infield of my Diamond Dynasty team is David Wright and Derek Jeter.
I'm still waiting to pull the trigger on that one because we all thought that Tony Khan had a big announcement for AEW this week on the live show. And by the way, I have to send you the video. MJF from Long Island had MJF Day because it was the first time they'd been back there.
Sent that to Alex and I.
It was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen because he's doing lounge songs. He gets the key to the city, like legit. And he's got the title. So he's singing like lounge singer songs, like
with Bill Murray on SNL.
And the boy's got some chops, but I watched it at work today because we were slow. I had it on the background while I was doing my report because I fell asleep on the couch like 5 minutes before Dynamite came on last night. And I texted Adam, it's like, this is the greatest fucking segment I've ever seen. Coming out of AEW, that's saying something.
That is saying something. There was one last thing I wanted to get to. Oh, the caffeine's leaving my body. Bobby was up at 3 o'clock this morning. I really didn't go back to sleep. So when I sent you the Cortholio gift today, I had a iced espresso with 4 shots in it. I'm starting to crash.
Yeah, I won't send you stuff to keep you up tonight because I'm off tomorrow.
I'll kill you very soon. You're off tomorrow? Are you doing anything fun?
Does getting my title and renewing my license plates and my registration and then going grocery shopping count?
Depends what's on the list for the grocery shopping.
Yeah, that's true. Just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Probably just sitting back playing a whole bunch of games on the Switch.
Sounds like fun. I'm off on Tuesday. Because Tuesday, you ready for this? Bobby turns 2 on Tuesday.
Next Thursday's show, impromptu, like birthday.
Remember, next Thursday we can't do. My mother-in-law's in town, and we have no place to record because she's staying in the living room on the couch, on the pull-out couch.
Okay, the weekend after, when we're back 2 weeks from tonight, I think we need to do an impromptu birthday bash with Mrs. Rican and Bobby in the slaughterhouse.
I can say this: I will run it up the flagpole. I make no promises because the boy needs to go to sleep at night because Dad's going into work at 7 o'clock in the morning every day. So
even if there's a pre-taped segment, we have the ability to do that now.
We do have the ability to do that now. But yeah, so like I said, so everybody, next week the Wise Guys will not be on until the following week. With my mother-in-law coming in with the way the house is set up here. So you walk in and you're in our dining room where I am tonight because nobody's upstairs. I can be a little louder. The Wisey's I was in the living room, so you can't really, the sound doesn't really travel. But in the living room is the pull-out couch with the bed in it, queen size bed on a love seat. So the pull-out couch is there. She's going to be on that because Bobby's room is set up for him. Our room is set up for us, obviously. So we won't have a Wise Guys next week. We'll have them the week after. Shut up, Jim.
All I keep thinking about is, you realize how good of friends I've become with your wife through Facebook lately. So you're going to be on that couch before long.
Again, good napping couch, not good sleeping couch. I spent Saturday night on that couch because he decided to throw up on me 6 times. Yeah, the stomach bug and the bronchitis has gone through my house, and it's been my wife and Bobby both times. Strong like bull. Yes! And by the way, so I don't know if you've seen how many people have watched the Wisey's.
Yes, I did see the numbers.
I personally feel that my favorite moment is when you changed Deshaun to Bill Cosby. That or Dangle. When we did the Dangle segment, when the guy got hit in the stones with the puck.
Where he did the Elmo. I think I still have to figure out. I think both of those are going to somehow get clipped for the off the rails. I don't know if I can do the Dangle one because of the copyright, unless I find a way to attribute. But certainly the changing to the Cosby will be there, and that'll be in the January year-end celebration.
You got to go back and get one from earlier in the year before I moved. You got to get the one where you asked me where quarterbacks are going to land. And you said Brady, and I said Shady fucking Pines.
We could pull that.
Yeah, I would pull that. Ow! I'm stuck to the chair.
I didn't feel a thing.
Shut up.
That's my dad's line. Every time somebody says ow, he says, I didn't feel a thing. Yeah, sure you didn't, you asshole.
Well, listen. Let's say we wrap up our first short form episode at 17 minutes over time.
Like I said, it's a work in progress.
It is a work in progress. And I got to tell you.
We'll have this ironed out.
Oh, we will. And I got to tell you, I think more than one Wisey's, once we get this rolling and we get the time, because like I said, with work with me down here, just getting used to everything, it's tough. I'm working 11 hours a day. But once we get this thing ironed out, that Saturday episode that we're going to pull at times might just be more fun than anything we've done up to that point.
Yeah, because what you guys are seeing now is basically what we're going to be doing. Is that it's going to be about an hour, maybe hour 15 on Thursday nights, every Thursday. Naturally, next week is going to be the exception. And then if something else comes up, or we just feel like being dipshits, we'll actually jump on and do another show on Saturday night.
I have a feeling you and I feel like being dipshits a lot.
And then we still actually have AEW watch along nights. We're probably gonna do we've got the live draft show coming up. Alex will be in with us on that. We got to figure out a way to be able to maybe like do gaming nights.
We should probably talk to John about that, because John is actually live streaming gaming on the Sporting site, which I got to talk to him because I haven't started watching The Mandalorian yet. And I really need to.
You know what could be fun, even if it's not baseball night? What about like the trend that's gone, even though we'd be way late to the party, like we can even maybe get Mrs. Rican in on this, like Uno night or Among Us night, or that could be fun. We've got some ideas, but this is this is your new look Wise Guys show.
It really is, and I can't wait to get my hat. I'm so excited for that.
It's coming. I think I'm getting the graphics to them tomorrow, or at least
Okay.
getting them sent off for digitization.
That's a big word for 10:30 at night.
I'm still up.
Shut up. So, James, let's tie a bow on this with me asking you one final question. It's a very serious one at that. It is one that I hope will resonate with the fan base.
Tacos.
No,
I was going to say that's a very serious question.
it is a very serious question. I had tacos the other night. On Tuesday. But here it is. Jim, how long before we're going to a parade in Cleveland again? Because I'm going to come out and say it now. 3 months.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that because these kids don't have that playoff experience. The two playing,
but they're just young and dumb enough to do something like that.
It wouldn't surprise me if they did. You know me, I'm a realist, and chances are when I make predictions like that, they generally don't come true.
How about 15 months?
15 months potentially, and who's to say that we're maybe not doing one in 8 months?
God willing, I'm going to one in 8 months. And here's where it would be even better if we were doing it in 3 months or 15. They beat the fucking Lakers.
Yeah, considering they're not going to get out of the first round. But
No.
anyway.
Could you imagine if they beat him in a finals?
If we're talking 2K, maybe, but we shall see about that. But yeah, you can actually, if I don't have a parade in 8 months, you might have one. And you might not have to leave where you're at.
Shut up. If they win another one, I'm just gonna be done.
Steal a little Adam Cole while wearing the Acclaim shirt.
Go to bed.
No, I'm off tomorrow. I'll be playing. I'm throwing on the Switch here in 5 minutes. I'm gonna be power washing stuff for an hour. I'm telling you, Power Wash Simulator, the most relaxing game you will ever play for $20.
There is a guy who does videos of the show that you need to look up. His player's name is Listeroid Daddy Hack the Fourth.
Yeah, send me that tomorrow.
It's a short, fat guy with a beard, and all he does, and the commentary is off the charts. He has an illness where all he does is hit bombs.
God, that's like 300 home runs a year playing on medium,
I need to go to bed.
All right, everyone, have yourself a great night. We will see you guys back here in 2 weeks. Mike, I'll be in touch with you sometime tomorrow.
Sounds
Everyone
good.
also have yourself a safe and happy holiday weekend. Happy Passover and happy Easter to everybody out there.
Take care, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night, everybody.